We've all seen package units and we've all seen split systems, but have you ever seen a split system? Hey guys, I was here at the shop unloading the trailer from one change out and getting ready to load up for another. And I had a little something here I just replaced that I thought I should get a little video of. Like I say, this is just a quick little video, but as my cousin Steve used to say, it's something that probably should be recorded for the annals of history. Now I know we got a lot of young techs out there. Some of you guys, I see you post things about when you graduated school and different things, and I realize I got socks older than you all. But there's also a bunch of you old codgers out there too, and you guys have probably seen these. I guess it was my first time. I've took out, of course, several of these old Carrier air handlers. This one appears to be from 1980. They were the old green color. They kept making this same style air handler with the beige color, seems like later on in the 80s, maybe up to the 90s, I don't know, somewhere in there. But they had these aluminum coils which seemed to hold up really well. The drain plans would typically rot out and you would have leaks, which you can tell by this air handler, the front of it. This was laying under a crawl space, and as you can see, the door was pretty much, the bottom of it was rotted off. So most of these I've seen, of course, they've had a different condenser put on them on the outside. But again, these old coils seem to last and last. Well, here was the outside unit, and you can see it's a Carrier heat pump. Looks like it might have been stained a little redwood color somewhere along the way. Guy took real good care of it. He put him a pie pan under there to keep water off of the upside down motor. But what was really interesting about this one, besides the fact that it had the aluminum condenser coil as well, was what it didn't have. It's got the condenser fan motor, and it's got a little box here. That's just a junction box for your fan wires. We got two wires going on the thermostat cable, but all they were was the defrost thermostat, I assume. And if you look at that, that's probably the factory one. You know, it's got that tape wrapped around it. It's got this plastic garment, and I bet you that's the actual original defrost thermostat on this thing. So, what are we missing? We don't have a compressor. It's just not there at all. But, like I said, this is a split system. And we had this neat little box right here, also down in the crawl space. Carrier heat pump. Best I can tell, it is also a 1980. I think the S would have been a month and the 0 would have been 80. It's a little different in the serial numbers on the air handler, so I don't know if that's right or not. Made in Tennessee. But what you had there, you had this little guy. Of course, it had this huge capacitor that they just don't use like that anymore. It looks like what used to come on the old Bard units that's hanging on the outside of the old modulars that were built in the 70s. That was over at my schools when I used to work there. Also, if we can get down here, I don't think we've got enough light. Let me see if I can get some light on. Oh, there it is. Couldn't see it through the thing. The compressor also has an 80 kind of engraved or stamped into the body there, which might mean 1980, I don't know. But you can see the reversing valves down in there. Got your contactor, got probably a defrost relay. It was a manual type defrost. The power came into here. You had a disconnect beside this thing, and the condenser power, basically the 25 amp or whatever it was, came in here, provided power to the compressor. It left here on another cable and went out to the outdoor unit to that fan. So you only had 2 thermostat wires that mattered, and what they were was the defrost thermostat coming back here to, you know, trigger this time clock to run. So, I mean, and look, most of these components look, you know, factory. It's just hard to believe this thing lasted as long as it did. Of course, you only had 2 refrigerant connections. The large line, the vapor line. So it was either, depending on that reversing valve, it was either sending a compressor discharge to the indoor coil, or it was sending compressor discharge to the outdoor coil. Liquid line just ran between the 2. So you can tell it had them almost look like those piercing type valves, but I don't see anything down in there that would pierce. So it must just been the kind of connection they used. You can see that one had just been brazed in, so it must have had a leak or lost a nut or something on that. As nice as this thing was, look at this stand that was on it. It looked like it was welded up out of a bed frame. And this was poured after the fact. I talked to the old guy whose house it was at. He said that he poured this, I just guess, to keep grass and weeds from growing up under the unit, but it was in the ground this deep. Those legs were, you know, stuck down in the ground, and then it had that concrete pretty much made onto it now. So it's got a couple of bolts from the unit down into the stand. So rather than try to stand out there in the drizzle and get it apart, I just opted to take the dolly, get up under it, and lift the whole thing up and put it on the trailer. I'll have to cut it apart. What's also interesting about this unit, the guy said this was at least the 3rd house it had been in. His former son-in-law was in the heating and cooling business way back when, and he took this unit out somewhere, put it in his own house. The guy said that his daughter, the guy's wife, didn't like it because it looked so old and ugly that she made him put her a new one in. So they brought the old unit over for the 3rd install and put it in this guy's house, and he said it's been there 20 years or more. So it was a good one. It was still holding gas. Everything still ran. It had a new blower motor put in, and looks like probably a condenser fan motor over the years. But the compressor finally gave up. Something inside of it must have broke. It would run, but it wouldn't pump. It would get hot and eventually go off on its thermal. So they don't build them like that anymore. Y'all have a nice day.